and see us, let us know if we are live yet. I already saw Catherine. I was watching her premiere, listening to her premiere and watching her premiere a few minutes ago. And Catherine, I couldn't find the video. I was looking for that close video. So let's.
Yeah.
Do y'all see if we're live? Does anybody? I'm trying to watch it on the
I don't
other.
see it yet, but it says,
We're
it
live.
takes a hot minute.
It does take a hot minute.
To do.
So good morning to everyone. Y'all, praise report. It was 55 degrees in Texas today when I woke up. Now, like the little meme says, welcome to winter. At 11, it will be spring. At 2, it will be summer. And around 4:30, it'll be fall again. So if you just stick with us all day here in Texas, you'll get all 4 seasons in one day. Fall again. So if you just stick with us all day here in Texas. Turn us down.
I don't know what I'm doing. It's me.
Is my volume down?
I'm like, Pam, come on, man. Where's your production crew?
He's off somewhere, not paying attention to me.
Mine's off too.
I can't even tell if I'm here or not. Am I?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Erin. I hear you, Erin.
Okay, good.
Yes, Miss Helen said yes, loving the weather. So, y'all, I'm super excited for today's little chat. I've got several of my favorite people with me today. And this chat has come about. Let me shut the door because we're going to be watching football here directly. It's what we live for is football. I've gotten several DMs in Instagram. I've got messages on Facebook and a couple of emails. And I was telling the ladies that this chat came about because people have been asking several questions that I actually wrote down about vintage space, about getting a vintage space and having a vintage space, what it's like, what could they expect? You know, is this a good price for their space and all that kind of stuff? Is it worth it? Because they either don't have the time or don't want to take on the social media part of it, like eBay, Etsy, and they don't want to do lives, but they want to have a space. So, hi, friends. Okay, let's see. Catherine Young was our first one in, and then Helen. I see Leanne is in. Good morning, Miss Sweet Sheila. Hi, Perla. Hi, Fat Birds. Thanks for listening while you're shipping. I have to do that later today. So that's kind of how it came about. And these are ladies that I, have been following, collaborating with in some way or form or fashion. And I know that they have spaces or booths. And I thought that we could cover the whole genre. We've got the UK, we've got Canada, we've got the East Coast, we've got Central. So I just thought it would be a good mix. And they agreed to be with me today. So Erin is going to be in and out because they're working on internet with her. So that's fine. She'll be able to still hear us. Hey, Carrie Ann. So first, ladies, thank you so much for being here. It was fun.
Thank you for inviting us.
So I'm going to start right here with Dolores. And if you guys could just introduce yourself, tell us where we can find you on social media, what kind of platforms and stuff like that. So we're going to do some introductions. So we're going to go with Dolores. Dolores, you want me to make you big or you want to stay with the group?
I can stay with the group. I'm absolutely fine. I am Miss Damn Jewelry Dolores. I have a YouTube channel, Miss Damn Jewelry. I have my Instagram is Damn Jewelry UK. That's the same name as my Etsy shop, Damn Jewelry UK, and I'm on eBay as Damn Retro. So that's me, y'all. I like jewelry. I like vintage, and I live here in the UK. I'm originally from Texas.
And y'all are about to have a Fiverr Fest, right?
Oh, the Fiverr Fest. Hee-ho, girl. Let me tell you, that is so good. The whole town. So what it is, it's to support small businesses in the town, independent shops and independent businesses. And everybody does deals across the whole of Clay Cross where I live, in every shop for $5. You get either 2 for $5 or something for $5. It's an amazing. I go every year. This year I'll be participating in it.
That's right, because you got your booth. right?
Yep. Mhm.
But when you say fiver, it means that it's 5 pounds.
5 pounds. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I just linked Dolores's channel. If you notice the DAM, those are her initials. She's not cursed
Yeah.
today, y'all.
No, those are my initials. Yeah.
Fiver, like Five
Yeah,
Fest, not
fiver. Like,
Fiber, like
Fiber. That would be an interesting festival, wouldn't it?
although I would want to hang around,
I feel like I want to
very
go to
long at the
Fiber Fest.
No.
the Fiber Fest. It's our
Yeah.
brand.
No, I'm not going to that.
Oh, all the linens, beautiful.
All right, let's go to Pam. Miss Pam. I'm
Okay,
so glad to
hello.
see your face.
Can you see my face?
Yeah, I'm so glad
Yes.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Okay, so I'm Kibi's Collectibles. My real name is Pam. Kibi is actually my dog. You know, when you're coming up with a name, you're just like, I don't know what to name stuff. And you don't want to take all those typical words out there that people throw in their name. So I'm like, who's going to have the name Kibi in their name? So that's how I got my name, Kibi's Collectibles. And I have 2 booths. And I am on Instagram, but I'm not really active. And I have a YouTube channel, and I really only post about once a week because I teach full time, and it's taken up a lot of my time. And it's just, life. So I'm keeping things online, kind of on the low right now, just simmering. And I've really become more active in my booths. So I'm only like 5 minutes away from my booths. So it's like constantly in my mind. And that's,
I can't imagine that teaching first grade keeps you busy.
I mean, I just okay, so we had Friday off because of the hurricane, because I'm in South Carolina, and it was coming on the coast of Charleston. I'm about 2 hours away. So we had a lot of wind, and it was smart for them to keep the buses off the road. So,
Yeah.
but I spent my day Friday, writing an SLO, grading papers, doing all the stuff, because I was excited because I was able to catch up on all the things that I could never get to.
So her SLO is student learning objectives or intentions.
Yes.
Lesson plans. She's doing lesson plans.
What I'm going to do. What I'm going to
Yeah.
do.
What I'm going to do with these children for 8 hours while they're here.
Make sure they're growing. So, it does take a lot of time.
Yeah, working. So the Dolores and Pam and I all have full time. Now, Carol, you're not full. You don't work outside of the home full time. And Erin, are you working or? Because I thought at one point you were working, but I'm not sure. So the 3 of us are kind of doing this part time, and then Carol, y'all are you consider yourself hobbyist sellers or part time resellers or full time resellers?
I would say hobbyist at this point, hoping to be for real someday.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
So that leads
our part-time.
Yeah. So that leads me to Carol, My Blessed Nest, right down here, y'all. And I'm putting their links in. So if you aren't subscribed to someone's channel, these ladies have wonderful content. I mean, I have so many friends that have great content, but these ladies have great content. That's saving the vintage, using the vintage, reselling the vintage, staging the vintage. It's all about the cool stuff and sourcing for it. So Carol, tell us where we can find you on social media.
First of all, I have to say, I feel like I'm on the Brady Bunch here.
I know. Good.
Brady Bunch vibes. Well, you can find me at My Blessed Nest on YouTube. That's where I hang out the most. And like Pam, about once a week I do a video. Once in a while I'll get a bonus one in there. I have something special going on. I'm also on Instagram, which I always link in my YouTube channel, but it's My Blessed Nest 33 because somebody had the audacity to take My Blessed Nest.
The nerve.
So that's where I'm at. I also sell, and I like to say they're booths, but they're really just like shelving units. So, and I have 3 of them now. I started out with 1, and now I have 3. And I would love for them all to be together, but they're in different areas. But that's kind of has a good thing to it too, because I get different people looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I can move it around if it's not moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Switch it. That's one of the bonuses that somebody asked me about. So, and I know that Carol does a lot of YouTube collabs, and we'll talk about one that she actually
Yes.
has coming up.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I was watching channels, and then she did collabs, which show you other people who are interested in the same kind of thing. And then I found so many other people just from the collabs that you did. And we'll talk about the one that you have coming up, because it is an open collab, right? Meaning anybody can just,
Absolutely. Come on, everybody, join in.
and it's a fun one. And if you are a vintage person, especially this time of year, it'll be a fun one for you. So thanks so much for being here. I know Carol and I were like, we're going to be coming in hot from church because it's right after church. So, now last but not least is Erin.
Yeah. So I've switched from my Wi-Fi to streaming. So hopefully, this works better. But
Okay.
anyhow, I am Erin. The Collection Vintage is my channel name. I've been on YouTube for several years.
Yeah.
And I used to do just strictly sort of mom content, then kind of went thrifting content, and then reselling content, and then it's been thrifting throughout, and then now I think I just do home tours. But there may be an odd video, a collab, maybe every once in a while. People always say they miss my thrift hauls, so maybe, but it was just taking up too much mental space in my mind to do YouTube videos, so I kind of put that aside. I had to cut some stuff out, so I decided to do the reselling in booths because I don't know, I didn't really have the mental capacity to do online stuff. So I have 2 booths. Actually, sorry, you want to know where you can find us social media wise?
So you also have Instagram,
you can
right?
find me on YouTube. I still do post some videos, like I said, home tours, but I mostly am active on my 2 Instagram accounts. So I have one for one booth and one for another, because they're different styles, so they may attract different people. So I have the Collection Vintage, which is my reselling, sort of like 70s style, more my style, I would say. So you can find me on Instagram there. And then I also have one called JNE Mercantile, because I have a booth with my dad.
Oh,
and
wow.
so that is more of a farmhousey sort of style, and it fits my second booth space a little bit
So
more.
what's it called again?
So JANDE Mercantile.
Okay, I wasn't following that, but now I am.
Oh, okay, yeah, like it's very small. It's very small. I just sort of, I don't know, on a whim decided, oh, maybe I need another Instagram because I only have, 2. Maybe I need 3.
And you know what? Instagram and YouTube do that to us, because I'm getting these emails from YouTube, and there's little pop-ups from Instagram about creating a second channel and having memberships. And I'm like, do you know how much time and effort it takes for me to do this? And I'm like, tell Dolores every day, oh, Dolores, I'm going to do this. I'm going to craft. And she goes, in your spare time, right?
Yeah, right. In your spare time.
So I saw Miss Nancy come in. Good morning. And Geneva, and my mama, Miss Bella Rose, is in, who just continues to clap for me and say, good job. You're doing a good
Such a
job.
good mom.
Yeah. So there's a lot of knowledge here. And I mean, I follow these ladies. I think Pam and Carol and Erin, those are kind of the ones that I started with. And then of course got to meet Dolores, and it's history from there, right? Dolores.
That's love.
He puts up with me as long as Lovey comes in and says hey to her when we chat. So let's talk about our spaces. So Erin, you now have 2 spaces in different stores.
Same store.
Oh, same store.
Yeah. So
and then
I started.
you have total different aesthetics in both.
That's right. So I started with just one booth upstairs in in an antique mall, and it's very sort of, you know, 70s kitschy, boho, my style. If you know my style, it's basically that, brass, that sort of thing. And then a booth downstairs came available, and the owner asked me, "Do you want to move downstairs?" But I had just set up my space upstairs, and I kind of liked it, and I thought, well, I don't necessarily want to move. And so I was talking to my parents, as you do, and they said, you know, why don't you, trying to figure out, should I move downstairs? Because they're also in the same town as me, and they know this antique mall. So my dad said, hey, why don't we also move, like, why don't you keep your space upstairs and you and I can do something downstairs together? Because he's a woodworker type guy. So he makes like charcuterie boards out of barnwood and that sort of stuff. So he said, I could put that stuff in there, and then you could do something else more to that style. So like a farmhousey, more antiques down there. And so I took up both spaces. So and it's been really great. So I'm happy I did. I just couldn't weigh the pros and cons. I don't know. I guess I was selfish in that I just wanted to keep my space upstairs. And
well, I mean, that's a lot of work. You know, we talked about taking stuff in. Like I have right now, I have two spots. I just got a brand new one. The video is coming out when it comes out, but I don't know when it is in the lineup, because so I have one in Glen Flora, Texas, which is about an hour away from me. And then I had been shopping in this other spot in Rosenberg, which is about 20 minutes south of me. And one of them is a booth. Now, I mean, it's probably about a 10 or 12 by 10. And so it's a big space, which I did not know how much. I had a bunch of furniture at the time. The furniture has basically sold, which furniture is what you get to stage to put all your littles on. And when the furniture sells, then you have to come up with plan B about, you can't just leave it on the floor, right? So I don't think people understand the amount of money you have to invest in if you have a blank space, and like risers and shelving units and pieces of furniture or dressers or something. But that's where I had to be looking for things. I had somebody gave me some of those, kind of like those things behind Dolores, those white shelves. And we were like, oh, I don't know how to use it. And then I thought, no, put it in the booth. It's in storage. Put it in my booth because I need the display space. Right. So just if you don't have like in my second one, I got a shelving unit. It's their shelving unit. It's really a beautiful antique piece of furniture. And so I'm thinking, oh, it's just a 6 shelf. I took like 2 copy paper boxes full of stuff, and it maybe filled up 2 shelves. And I was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize how much. And I was pulling stuff from the other booth. Well, now the other booth is thin. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you do? So when you're looking at that, I can understand not wanting to move. Upstairs. Nobody wants to do all that traveling, even by elevator. But then packing it up just to move it, you still have to kind of give it a cushion. But the amount of work that it is to find it all, clean it all, tag it all, and then haul it out there, and then just find a spot for it. And then you would have to move that. Right. Forget about it.
Right. So it was sort of a matter of, so it's upstairs. Not everybody goes upstairs when they go to an antique mall, right? But it was right as you walk up the stairs, you could see it. So if I were telling someone how to get there, it'd be easy to find, right? But then the one downstairs, it's on the main floor, but it's kind of hidden among, a whole bunch of other booths. So, it'd be harder to tell people how to find me. So it was really the list of pros and cons. I couldn't figure it out. So that's how
you just went with both.
Yeah. Oh, and I was a little bit hesitant because, then I have to pay rent in 2 spaces, right? So I glad to have found a partner in my dad, and that he, pays half the rent, right? So I didn't have to sort of worry about the financial, like making a profit or anything like that down there. But they're both 2 pretty big sizes. So I've got my one upstairs. Upstairs is about 10 by 10, And then my one downstairs, I think is 7 by 11. So they're both fairly large.
That's pretty good sizes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. So I saw Helen say that's why we see NFS, not for sale. Yes, because I originally, everything that goes in there had a price, right? All my furniture. Well, it sold. And then she was like, hey, you need to come back because stuff is sitting on the floor. So then you just get some, well, there was no other place to put it. And so they, she was just like, come up with some, she had some old rusty crusty shelving, and I was like, just let me hold that until I can get something else. And you wouldn't believe how many people try to buy those little unstable rusty crusty shelving units that
Yes,
you have.
that's happened to me so many times. I get a call like, hey, you've got something here, there's no price, and I should put NFS, but I didn't. And they're like, they want to buy it, and I have trouble because sure, I want to sell it, but I don't necessarily have the time to find something right now. So it's hard to figure out what to sell and what not, but people will really buy anything.
Yes.
They will.
And I've told people several times, and y'all can probably attest that, you have to understand that you're going to have to put money, you're going to have to buy things that are not going to be for sale. So you're going to have to spend money in order to display the things. That's like when I do shows, I still have to have tables, and I have a ladder display that Lovey has made and put the boards and everything. And that's stuff that you just haul and then you have to store somewhere. So it's a lot of cost occurred just to set up a display. Now, Carol, you said you have 3 spots, but they're all shelving units.
Yes. And I do have some items that I've found that makes them easier to stage, because otherwise it would just be all this open space. So I've gotten from the bins some really nice, cheap wooden shelves, but like not shelving units, but well, the one thing is about, I'm going to be out of camera, but it's longer than you can see my hands. You turn it on its side and it's got little cubbies in. And I
Oh, wow. Okay.
for 50 cents at a garage sale. So I can put my little tchotchkes in there and then all over the top. And that makes like my back layer. And then I can put stuff in front. So I've gotten very creative with what I bring to the booth, to stage it better. And I find stuff cheap, garage sales, bins, stuff like that.
And so did your shelving, was it provided for you, like, or did you have to bring it in?
All 3 of mine were, and they're all 3 totally different, and they have a totally different vibe, which I love. The one is really unique. It's very deep, and it has 2 humongous drawers at the bottom, which are mine as well. So I put a little arrow that says, look down here, and a sign that says, dig in here for more treasure, something like that.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
I'd be digging in that drawer.
I would too. Be in this drawer.
Because people people scan like this. Even we do.
Right.
And when we're filming, we say, y'all look down, look up, look in the back. But even as a shopper, I don't tend to look down unless I see a neon sign with an arrow that says look down.
Yeah, and then also if I have extra stock, which I always have stuff priced ahead, I'll stick it in those drawers. And then when I go in, if something's sold, I can pull something else out of the drawer.
I like it.
Something's kind of stagnant, like, oh my goodness, this is never going to sell. I'll put it in the bottom drawer and throw it in the corner and bring out something more exciting. And then
constantly rotating.
Yes. And my other one of my other 2 is all glass shelving with lights at the top. I call that my pretties booth. And I put all the real breakables and pretty things that would look good under lights. And then
now, does that one lock? Do they have to get that one unlocked?
No, it's all of mine is wide open. And my third one is just very plain, a very basic bookcase, very boring. And I
have one of those.
Yeah, I put all like my rustic stuff in there. So I kind of have themes, not as great of themes like Erin, but they're kind of themey.
It's kind of sorted together. Yeah, in my booth, I have one of those old, those kind of Walmart white bookshelves.
Yes.
And I try to put a lot of color in that.
Yeah.
Just to help, but I just, you have to, and those shelves are so, I mean, you could move them, but that's honestly more work than I can do. But they're kind of deep, so you have to find whatever shelving I had it for originally, that's the length that it is, and I just move stuff around that fits in there. So
Same here, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm already doing work, you know what I mean? Pam, tell us about, you said you have 2 and you have booths, right?
Yes.
Same store or different store?
They're in a different store, but luckily, like I said earlier, I'm really close to the stores that my booths are in, and they're in a strip mall. And within that strip mall, all of the stores in that strip mall are very similar. So it's like a destination. You can come to this strip mall and you could spend hours here going from store to store.
That's good.
Yeah, we've got, and I'll just name them. We've got the Ivy House, which there is, beautiful store. Refined, which is a little more retro. We have Pontiac Mercantile, and that's the store that I'm in. It's a newer store. And then we have B&L Antiques, and then we have Not Forgotten, which is another store that's relatively new. So I'm in both of the 2 newer, those 3 newer stores in that strip mall. So the one in Not Forgotten it's like a 10 by 10. It doesn't have walls. Okay. So that's a big obstacle. You just have the back wall. So you have to have that creative shelving to kind of make your own walls. And we had some extra shelving that we had here we bought at IKEA. So my husband's like, let's bring those. And we had to put them together because they were still in the boxes. And then I went out and bought an etagere and just kind of filling it in and making do with what you have. Yeah. But we do have things, that are not for sale. And those are the things that people want. You can just write that down in the book of this is going to happen, that people will want to buy those items. But in the other shop, now that was a 10 by 10. In the other shop, it's super small. It's like I would say maybe a 4 by 6, maybe. Like you can walk in the booth and you're like, and you look, and then you look. And
you have to look from afar to back out of the booth and look at the bottom.
Yes. And so in that booth, I really like I have an etagere in there. I'd really like to have things with glass shelves so you can kind of see all the way through in a small space. If you have that small space, that's what you want. Because if you have those just closed shelves, you know what I'm saying? You can't see through them. Then you really have to, get down and look to see what's on the bottom shelf. But with that glass shelving, the customer can kind of come in and they can kind of see all the way through, which is great. And I am in that space going to be moving on my fall break. I'm really excited. I'm going to be moving into a larger space. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I think, and I've always made my rent there and I've made money, but I think with it being more open, because it's like a corner, then I think I will get better sales because they'll be able to see all my merch.
And I think that one of yours is right up front, right? One of yours is right in the front.
The one at Not Forgotten is right. It's up front. It's right across. And I did a video about this. So go to Kibi's Collectibles and go back.
I love watching your videos.
And watch my video. Thank you. And you'll see when I go in the door, it's like right up there. It's across from the register area where you
right for the window.
Yeah. And
teacher's pet.
Yeah. So you know that when somebody comes in, they're going to go by your booth. So they just kind of
or see it from the outside. If they can see something that catches their eye even if they're closed and they pass by, it'll make them go back in.
Right. Exactly. And
so your styles, are they the same in both or you are separate?
No. So in Pontiac Mercantile, that's the little booth.
Your sound effects, y'all.
That is That's more boho, mid-century modern. Okay, so I have that vibe. But then in Not Forgotten, I mean, I don't know. It's more like a hodgepodge, in my opinion. I see something when I'm shopping that I think would be a great item to sell. I think it would be desirable for the customer, and I'm going to pick it up. And it may not be something my vibe is the boho, the
Yeah.
mid-century.
Pottery, Namaji.
Yes, Namaji. My God, I love it. But I mean, like glass and
It's like glass with all these.
you
Oh
know,
yeah, we all love
baited
glass.
as well. If it's desirable, if I think it's desirable for a customer, then I'm going to pick it up, even though it's not my jam. And that, I mean, I do really well in both places. So I must be doing something right.
Yeah, and it's
It's
great that
yeah,
there's several stores too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And I
It's
think
kind of
just
like a
everything being in that strip mall, you've
yeah,
got all those customers coming in and they all have the same
Mhm.
mind frame. I want to buy things that are, I don't want to say refurbished or whatever, but just or recycled. I don't know the correct word, but
Sustainable.
sustainable. It's been gently used. It's at a good price. It's something that I'm not going to see if I go to Home Goods. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, and a lot of it is now going to be those people who even kids now are wanting to. I say kids, I'm 50, y'all. So kids are wanting the retro and the vintage look. It's kind of in right now. And
Yes.
then for some of us, it is things that we had growing up or even the toys and stuff. So it's just something that's drawing people, speaking to them emotionally and aesthetically, I think, too. So let me catch up. I see Blue Flamingo Mercantile. She said, I wish I could sell out of my apartment. Then people
Right.
open the door,
No,
Lori.
Mhm.
don't want to
Open
shut
the
them off.
basement door. Come on down.
Just
Nope.
open it up. And I'm glad that Lori let us know that she was safe because she's in Florida.
Yeah.
Sunshine asked a question about kind of like our fees. We are going to talk about that. Miss Martha Vintage Conversation came in as well as Vintage Uprising Texas. They came in. Let me see where I am. I think I missed some people. Antique Agenda.
Heather.
Did.
Hey.
They were talking about the long list of vendor, like there's no spaces. And I know
Oh
I've been
wow.
trying, I mean, there's a lot of stores, but then sometimes it's the owners and they have a lot of stuff. And so they don't have any space for anybody else. We've been looking for, I've been helping Tammy and Miss Martha look for spaces and everything has a waiting list.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what Leanne was saying. I wanted a space, but it's so expensive and wait listed here makes it hard to get started. Yes, it does. Dana, thank
Yeah.
you for that. Once we move, I'm seriously thinking about getting a booth. The
Mm.
information that you are sharing is helpful. Let me see. I don't know what I've done. Okay. And then Tammy was talking about at one of the flea markets. The guys said, well, okay, sir, on this computer.
Okay. All right.
The guy chants dig, dig, dig all day long. I was like, I don't know how I would do that. All right. Heather says she misses having a booth.
Mm.
So that brings us to Dolores. Dolores, you recently got a space, right?
Yes, I recently got a space in Fusion Antiques here in Clay Cross. Now, it was a place I went to source, and after a while, you go in there, you build a relationship with the owner. And one day when I walked in, she had these glass cabinets, three of them, space for rent. And I was like, "Girl, you serious?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, I want one." So she let me pick which one I wanted. I got the first one as you walk past it because they're right by the cash register. So I got, and it's a glass shelf unit. It's got with the top, it's got five big cubes to
Mm-hmm.
put in, but I can use the top and the wall behind it. She said you can
Yeah.
hang whatever you want on the wall. Knock yourself out. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I was so excited to get it. It's my first time I've ever done this, and it was at a good price. And I enjoy going in and decorating it. And the style would be, well, what I tend to do is each shelf is a theme. So I have like kitchen or, animals or just general decor or whatever. So each one has a theme, and I
Oh,
have jewelry because it's so close to the counter that I can have. So they're not locked. You can open them right up because they're right by the register. She's there. So on the top, I have. In fact, I bought that one. It's this little, almost like a wooden case that you open, and one side has like a almost like chicken wire on it,
yeah.
and the other part's like a wood with shelves. So I put my jewelry in that, and then like I tie the brooches onto the chicken wire, so people can just untie them if they want to purchase them. But they're right there, so I'm not worried about like theft or anything like that, or anybody stealing it because it's right there. But the great thing is, it's kind of like when you go to the store and you walk by the candy aisle and you think, "Oh, impulse buy." That's where it's right by the counter. So it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, impulse buy." That's
And it's
cute.
sparkly jewelry. Yes, you're like, oh wait, hold on.
Yeah. So I've been doing that since August, and I have absolutely loved it, and I've been able to pay my rent and make a profit. So, and I go in every week and change it
Yes.
because
I
it's well,
wish.
because it's literally I mean it's the other side of the town, and the town is like this big. So I mean, I have to pass it to go to anywhere else. So I'll just go in there on a Friday because I'm off on Fridays, even though I work, 40 hours a week, but I work those in 4 days. So on a Friday, I'm off, and I'll go and see what I've sold, and I'll go back home and get whatever, to fill it up, and I'll take it back to fill it up. Or if I see some things have been sitting there, I'll take them out and then bring something else. So I'll change. It's constantly changing, and I will have sales. I've had it sell already, and that's handy for me because I don't then have to come home and list it. Because if I don't sell it at the booth, I'll come home and I'll at the end of the month, because I change it every month. At the end of the month, I will then list that stuff that didn't sell. I'll list it on Etsy or eBay, and
Do you bring it home
so
and pack it away, or do you leave it in the booth to see if it will sell? No, you have to
well,
take
so
it
what?
down in case it sells, right?
Right, yo, I'll take it out in case it sells. Yeah. So what I'll do is like, let's say at the end of the month, like I had a sale. I started in August. At the end of August, I had a sale because that was all summer stuff. So because I wanted to start getting ready for fall, so I had a sale. I didn't have to bring much home because it sold. And then at the middle of October, I'll have another sale to get ready for Christmas. So I'll have a sale on my fall stuff. Whatever I don't sell, I'll bring home and list, and then I'll change it out.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because I can't take on the eBay, Etsy,
It's too
whatnot right
much.
now. Anything I have to take a picture
Oh, I
and
don't. We don't have whatnot here, so.
so I can't fathom adding that to my plate right now.
Right. It's hard.
A lot of the questions in the chat or conversation in the chat is about the expense, the ultimate expense. Now, it varies. There are some people that don't have to pay rent because the owner's like, look, I'm not doing all that. You're just going to come in. We'll keep the records of it. You claim what you need to claim. I'll claim what I need to claim. And then some people have a contract, and contracts look very different. So I know I have contracts in both. Does anybody else have like a contract of some sort?
Well, I've signed something. So
Shoot, I don't know what it was,
What
but
it was, I have no idea.
Sign your
yeah, I mean,
life.
and it's I guess it's renewed every month. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're not making your rent, they'll say, hey, whatever.
So in mine in Glen Flora, she gives you, and I've said this multiple times, but she gives the when there's space and people come in, she gives you an option. Do you want to be on commission, or do you want to pay a monthly rate? So I did the math in my head as a part-time reseller and what like price points I had. And I figured, so it's 30% commission, but she pays the sales tax. So I don't have to do it. She does all of that. But I have to still claim my income, right? And so she does 30% commission or a certain amount set of rental per month. And I did the math and I was like, thought about it for a little bit. And I was like, well, I'd have to sell this much to make rent every month, right? To make it a difference. But if I just go commission, I don't have a monthly fee. And so it's storage if I sell nothing and it costs me nothing.
Yeah.
So I went with commission, even though the commission is 30%. I don't have 30% includes her credit card fees or anything like that. So as a, you know how you can go into a consignment shop, right? And they don't charge you rent, but they take a percent of what you sell. So she's kind of doing it like consignment. I chose that. So my contract is month to month, 30% consignment. And there's certain rules, like you have to keep it clean, you have to keep it fresh, you have to have tags on everything. Everything has to have a number. My other space, that's just the shelving unit, is $50 a month. But I didn't know how big that shelving unit was. I was grossly mistaken when I took 2 big boxes and I was like, okay, great. There's 3 things on every shelf. Wonderful. I was like, got to go back to the drawing board. For that one, it's $50 a month. Now, it's not bad. There's people with bigger spaces, but right now, she took over the shop from someone who passed away, and their family is no longer going to do it. But it's been a staple in the town for multiple decades. So she took it over, but she also took over and is still selling off their inventory. So it was already full.
Wow.
And so she's added some vendors in that whole space, which the one I'm talking about is the Vogelsang Emporium, Antique Emporium in Rosenberg. And I've done a lot of shop-alongs. If you see that space, y'all, it's packed.
Big.
There's only, counting me, 12 people in there. It is a story building. So, and I have one thing. I don't know what those people's rent is, but so hers was 6 months and then month to month. So I just paid the 6 months up front. I don't have to worry about it. It's $50 a month. And then I moved on. So that contract that I'm talking about is you do sign something, Pam.
Yeah.
That says you agree to this amount of rent per month. And, you know, some people will put in there, you have to have 1 sale per quarter. You keep it clean. You have to have your price tags. You have to come in and clean it and refresh it. And that's what a contract looks like. And it also says that if you don't pay your rent, sometimes the contract will say, if you don't pay your rent after so many months, then they take ownership of your inventory. Now, I have seen that in several contracts as well. But most people who are on top of their booths, that never becomes a problem. So does anybody else have a commission, like do commission or pay a rent?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We pay rent.
So y'all pay rent. I mean, is it, because they're talking about how expensive it is. Mine is $50 or 30%. So is it, and everybody's saying they're able to make rent with what they sell. So it's feasible. It's logical. But I do know that there's some places where a booth may be $250 a month. That's more than storage.
Yeah.
Well,
mine, I have 2 booths, and they are, I'm not going to say 250. I'm not going to say the exact amount because I'm not sure about that, but it is between $200 and $300 a month for my space, but each. So I split half with my dad in one, but then I don't have a contract. So the owner of the antique mall is very, I don't know how to describe him. Anyhow, I know him. I used to shop there before I had a booth there. This is like in town. It's been around for decades. And so I don't have a contract actually. So it is month to month. I pay a rent based on square footage. And I don't have to pay a commission, but I do pay, it used to be $10 a month. But now it's gone up to $20 a month for
credit
debit
card
transactions, credit card, that sort of thing. And you know, we got like a little write up of, just so you know, this has been $10 for the past 10 years. We have to raise it to 20 because of the cost of just the rolls for the debit machine, the wrapping paper, the bags, just stuff, how to run, stuff. Things that they have to pay for so that we can sell out of there. So, but I don't know. I find like I'm still able to make rent and make a
Mhm.
profit. So I'm happy to pay that rent. It works out just fine for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think rent, and I don't own the shop, but I think that rent, because I've been looking at the chat and there's some very expensive rents out there. I think it
Yeah.
depends on what city are you in, where are
Yeah.
you located?
Right. I was gonna
Mhm.
say so between $200 and $300 Canadian, which is actually different than American dollars. So it's a
Yeah,
little
it
less
is
for you
actually.
guys.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I saw somewhere someone had $400.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Ooh,
pricey.
Now I've
ouch.
heard that. Now I'm outside of Columbia, which is the capital city in South Carolina, but I'm in a little town called Pontiac. So I'm assuming that because we're outside of the city limits, we don't have that. It's not huge. It's very reasonable. My rent is, and in one store it's 10% commission, and the other store it's 12% commission. But I think it also depends on what's the owners of the store. What is their rent? I mean, they have to pay rent on their building, so and that depends on where you are. And so I think all those factors come into play. And it's unfortunate that when you're in the city or, in like Charleston, where I
It's
live, I've
really
heard their
expensive.
rent is
Mm.
$350 and above. It's insane. So it's unfortunate that it can't be the same, but I understand why,
Right.
Now, so one of mine, she owns the building. So that's why
Mhm.
she's able to make that commission. It's her building. She's owned it. And the
Exactly.
other one pays a rent and the credit card fees because they have to pay the credit cards for letting and the machine people for letting them use that. So their fees have gone up too.
Yes.
So where are you at, Carol?
I'm in Ohio,
Okay.
and my booth is like 2 minutes from my house, 3 minutes if I hit the light. So my rent is very nominal. I do pay a 10% commission.
Mhm.
And what they have done about their credit card fees is they've passed it along to the buyer, and nobody seems to really care. I think it's 3.5%. If you pay cash, you don't have to pay it.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
some people are kind of surprised if they don't see the huge sign right there in front of their face. But they will say, we can cancel this if you want to pay cash. Some people will go home and get their cash. But it's never been a big issue, so I'm happy about that.
Right.
I would love to have your option, Beth. That sounds wonderful for the
Yeah.
commission because there wouldn't be a lot of pressure.
Right.
If you had a bad month, then like you said, you're paying for storage. Well, you have storage, but you're not
No,
paying
it's
for it, I
free
guess.
storage
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's free storage.
Yeah, I thought
So
myself,
yeah.
wait a minute. That's
Yeah,
free
it's
storage.
free storage. So it behooves her to bring people in, which
Yeah.
looks at she probably has about 80 to 100 vendors / people on commission. So there's a lot of different stuff coming in there constantly. And it is a destination place. I mean, people have been coming to this antique emporium for a long
Mhm.
time. And so it does behoove her to have constantly be posting and getting people in there because if we don't sell, she doesn't make her money too.
Right. That would be the only thing. I would be kind of nervous if I was the owner to do it that way, because if you had somebody who wasn't real serious about it and they just left the same thing sit month after month, but from the seller's viewpoint, you can't really lose. That's
And
awesome.
it's also
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
they, that's that contract piece that if you don't keep your booth, if you don't refresh, or if you don't come back to pick up, your stuff once it's not selling, then it becomes theirs. And so it's 100% commission at that 100% profit for her at that point. And
Yeah,
she
that's
does have
cool.
people who their parents pass and they bring up some pieces, big pieces, but then they don't ever come to get their check. They don't do whatever. So it then becomes hers.
Wow.
And so it's just the commission is like that. I have a few questions in the chat, and y'all, I'm going to go way back because Dana said, is it possible or have we heard of sharing a booth space with another reseller? Example of two people don't have a ton of items to display and want to split the rental fee. That is, from my experience in both of my shops, that is owner discretion. One does it and one does not. They don't allow it. And that would be in your contract if they allowed you to share pieces. But like Erin, y'all share, you know,
Right.
but it's
So
under one vendor number though, right?
That's right. That's right. So it is. So we do have to sort of get the paperwork at the end of the month and you know, split up the profits or whatever. But before that, the booth that I was in had two different vendors in the same booth, I believe. So I guess it just depends. But yeah, it depends on the space or the owner. Yeah.
Now, Pam, I know you signed something, but do you remember that being in there that you
I
signed?
didn't read it. I didn't read it.
Oh, she's a teacher. She's like, I didn't read it.
I just said, okay, let me sign.
There are some at my booth that at the place where it's called the Majestic Turnaround, by the way, the place where I'm at, and they do that as well. I don't know the logistics of it because mine's all mine. It's so small. I don't want to share.
It's all yours and you need the space, right?
I do. I've never had the problem that you mentioned. I always have the problem of like, oh my gosh, why did I bring all this stuff in and where am I going to put it?
And I do think that that's my staging style because, I mean, anybody who's ever been, Tammy can attest from Vintage Conversations. She can, I mean, Vintage Uprising Texas, she can attest that this is a very minimalist, like this is the most that's probably hanging on any wall in my home because I feel like I have to take it down and dust it and all that. So I don't have stuff. Like when you see my decor, at Christmas is the biggest, but that's just something that I like and it's pretty and there's lights from the outside. But you will see that when I do decor, it is in one room. It is in the dining room, but I have an open floor plan. So when you walk in, you see it. It kind of still sets the vibe and it's not in my way. So I don't have a lot of stuff. They always laugh at me because I literally have one shelving unit that has 4 shelves on it, and that's extra inventory. That's it, because everything else is in the booth and or the other booth. But I also do shows. So when I do a show, Martha and Tammy came to it, and a couple of other people come to a show. That's a 10 by 10 space that is packed with, you just bring everything, because I'm doing a 3-day show in December, 3 days of inventory. It's like having a booth, but it's mobile. And so you bring everything. So I don't tend to have a lot of extra inventory. Plus doing live sales, I mean, I might sell 10 to 20 items, you know, a week. And so, you know, that when we're talking about filling up sales, I know Dolores and I talked about this as far as live sales, and Pam and I, when we were doing ours, if we're doing one sale a week at 15 items per sale showing, you have to have 60 items that week on top of what you have to shop for your booth. So inventory, getting inventory is a big deal. I saw Geneva, she asked, would you source in your store and turn around and resell in your space for that? And I know people do it. They've shopped in mine, and then I see it like 3 booths down, which doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I've done it, but I have a hard time. I used to use that antique mall that I'm in now as a great place to source, but now you know, if it's a sale on someone's booth and they're sort of leaving the space, then I'll go through all their stuff and sell it when they leave. But I have a hard time doing that. I know that people do, and it's no problem. But
I mean, I shop. Oh, sorry. Yeah, your mom's.
Yeah. They don't want these organs.
I shop in. Well, I mean, that's where I started thrifting. It was then when I started, but that's a big place where I thrift. And she said to me, you know, if you buy it from me and want to put it in your booth, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
She said,
care.
I absolutely don't. She says, I don't care. Because well, she owns the store. So she's like, whatever. No, I don't. I will still shop there for resale. But I'll usually put it in my Etsy shop, or maybe if I do a live sale or Instagram sale, I put it there. I won't. I just feel weird about it personally. But she was like, Sarah, the lady who owns it, was like, go ahead, you know, I got my money, get your money. You know, she's kind of like that. And as far as my booth, I pay a flat fee a month. There's no commission. There's no taking off for credit card use. This is what you pay. End of. And yeah, and it's quite good because like I live in a smaller town. And if you go to Chesterfield, which is, up the road, that will be more expensive for a booth. If now I'm looking at getting another booth in this place called Bolsover, and it's in a smallish town, but it has a castle in the town. The town has a castle.
So a
Mhm.
So
tourist
that
attraction.
might, pardon?
A tourist attraction.
It's a tourist attraction, and and the antique shop is right by the castle.
Oh,
You
that's
can literally walk to
That
it.
sounds lovely.
yeah.
It
I'll be
is.
there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't gone and I mean I went in there, but when I asked about it, the owners weren't in. They told me to come back the next day, which I haven't been back yet. But I am going to go back and check it out. And the one in Chesterfield, they did quote a price a while back, but I didn't really know what it was for. Like they didn't say. I mean, but I have again. I've been going to the Chesterfield place a lot. Have kind of a rapport with them, relationship with them. So I feel like maybe if I go ask, and I didn't ask the question, someone else asked it. But maybe if I now that I have a relationship with them and I go and it'd be like, hey, how much you have for a boot? And they know they let me film in there. They're like, yeah, we don't care, it's free publicity. So it
Right.
might be uh a different situation if I go, now and ask about a booth. It might be like, oh, well, we'll do it this much, or a space, or a shelving unit, whatever. And I just want to kind of reiterate that, well, not reiterate, but just say that you can always find a bargain in antique booths.
Yeah.
hmm
Oh
You,
yeah.
I went this past week, and I mean, I went to the market, antique market in Chesterfield. I got some good stuff, but then I went to Chesterfield Antique Mall and I scored.
Yeah.
you know,
Especially if
and
they're running
so
sales.
this was a sale. This was sale, and I was just like, just, and I just think that it's just it's I like going to antique shops, and especially here in the winter, the car boots end because of the weather. Can't go outside and do it anymore. They have indoor car boot sale, but when it's depth of winter, I want to go into a warm, lovely, antique shop where they may have a tea room, so I can stop and get a scone,
A snack.
Snacks are
get a
always
snack.
necessary.
So I saw Val come in and Anna. Thank y'all for coming in. And I was talking about like not having a lot of inventory. And Tammy, Vintage Uprising Texas, she was like, I
Oh,
totally have you covered. But Tammy, you have
I'm
to
gonna
be
go shop in
willing
her
to
house.
part. Tammy has to be willing to part with that. She has like 47 collections. And when I say collections, it's not its collection of 3. It's like a collection of 103 things, but she's got it covered in every area. And she and Martha have been even talking about sharing. But
Yeah.
we have looked in just the radius, and there's just not a space. I mean, in your areas, y'all, are you finding that there's additional stores popping up, or where people are opening their own store, or you're just finding the ones that have always been there are still there?
Well, I was going to tell you guys that my store just is opening a Majestic turnaround too on October 5th.
Oh.
Yes.
Maybe you'll get
Who
a
wants
big
to move to
spot.
Ohio?
Yeah, I know. I want to go to Ohio.
I don't want to go to the new store though, because the one that I'm at is 2 minutes from my house. And
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yes,
Mhm.
I get that.
further away. Oh, and I forgot to tell you too that I do work one Saturday a month, and I love that, and that helps with my rent. So
Oh.
that might be an
Okay.
option that people can look into as well.
hmm
Super fun to get to find out the vibe of what people are buying. You
Mhm.
also can shamelessly plug your own stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think I might have one over here. I saw one in this booth over here.
Mhm.
Happened. And that's totally encouraged. I bought 2 lanterns at a garage sale one time, and this lady was walking around with one of them, and one of my friends there, I wasn't even working that day, said, "Didn't you buy 2 of those?" And I said, "Yes." Said, "Do you have the other one here?" And I said, "Yes." So he said to the lady, I know for a fact we have another one of those if you're interested. And she said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Go get it."
Hurry up.
So that was very nice. And I love, having a rapport with the customers. You get to know them by name, and then they come and look at your booth.
And if they're looking for something, you can be looking to
Mm.
source that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't work in any of mine. Do y'all work in any of yours?
Mm-mm.
Now, I
No.
would love to, because that's my deal. That's my jam. That's my utopia. I want an old-fashioned little house, and I want it to stay a house, but I want a working kitchen because I want to like make my sweet treats and have a table where we can sit and have snacks. And then you can stage each room with all of the vendors' stuff. It would just be
Yes.
vendor number, and
Love
you can
it.
stage
Yeah.
each room with all kinds of stuff. And it would just be like a getaway for like vintage people,
That sounds so
lovers.
nice.
Vintage
Mhm.
people.
Vintage
Not vintage people.
Vintage
Hey, we're
people.
not that old.
I'm a vintage people.
I'm vintage people. So yeah, I saw Dragonfly Addict just coming in. Hey Beth. And she said, I really wanted to hear y'all's thoughts. I finally decided to get a space in a different antique mall since I closed mine 6 months ago. And I hear that all the time, that people, they're like, oh, it didn't work out in one. Because I know that there's a lot of people who've moved. Patrick, Trusty Huckster Mercantile, he just posted on Instagram. He was in a booth, and it was more of the I would say it's more of the reproduction, more of the farmhouse, more of the already produced things. And it just didn't work with his rusty, crusty, and true vintage.
Yeah.
But he just said that he found another spot, and he had the glass cases. And we hear so many times in videos. I just watched Mimi's Treasure Cottage, and she was like, I really want to look at something in there, but I don't have time to stop what I'm doing, go find somebody, unlock it, and then find it. So he just took the glass off. And so his case is open. And he's got some wonderful things in there. So he is going to try it again. And I hear so many people that had booths and then can't sustain them in that particular area. They're always looking for the next one. And here, I mean, maybe in other areas there, or Houston surrounding area, there might be spaces, but we've looked in Wharton and Glen Flora, and I mean, we still need to check into a few in Rosenberg, but mostly if they have a store, their stuff is in it and it's full. It is full. So let's see. Yes, I do want to open a store. So what store is your booth in at Rosenberg? I've been wanting to go. So mine is one little shelf. I'm going to go put my Halloween stuff up, in my spare time. But it is the Vogelsang Antique Emporium. Now that is on 1909 Avenue G. But in this area, again, like Pam,
Yeah.
one whole street, both sides of the street, that is the adjacent street to where mine is lined with antique shops. And one of them is like 3 stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's huge. I mean, that's why I always say, if anybody wants to come, don't come for like 2 hours, because there's shops on both sides. And you would shop all of these. One of them on the corner is literally probably a quarter of a block and 3 stories. And then Vogelsang is 2 stories. And I'm in Vogelsang, but any of that 3rd Avenue there. And then I'm also in Glen Flora Emporium, which is one intersection over from the next town, which is Wharton, and they have a whole street. So people come to those, like Pam was saying, destinations. So Dolores, what's the name of your shop that you're in?
It's Fusion Antiques in Claycross. It's right on the corner. She actually used to be in this little industrial unit, like tiny, and that's how I first ever went to her. And then she moved to this bigger shop, and I don't work there. But it's like when I go there to change out stuff, I better carve out some time, because I'm going to sit there and kiki for about a couple of hours. You know what I mean? So I like it.
Your vintage peeps.
Yeah, we're gonna and then have a look around, have a scout around, because it's cool, because and this other guy is now selling next to me, Danny's Vintage or whatever. And I met him the other day. He was so nice. Him and his wife came in. It was so nice to meet them. It's fun to meet the other booth holders. But her husband has a bit in the back, which we call fancy. It's a fancy antiques. We call it, and I always call him Mr. Dean, because that's his name is Dean. I said, Mr. Dean, can I go look at your fancy stuff? So they've kind of got it broken up, which is pretty cool, because you've got because they do house clearances. That's what they do. and they
Oh,
saw the big stuff off and put the all the other stuff, the little vintage antique stuff in their shop. So and I love it. I love it there. I love going in there because and she's really good about promoting sellers on social media.
but you just did a video in there. One of your
I
videos,
did.
or was it a live on
It was
Insta?
an Instagram live to talk
Yeah,
about how, and I just kind of wanted to like let people know, like to these antique shops have been around a while. People are like, oh, I want to go to an antique shop. It's so expensive. I'm going to break something or whatever. I'm trying to. The whole point was to say, look, antique shop. You don't want to go into a town and say, well, there used to be a good antique shop here. You want to keep them alive and get people coming and get almost the hype about it because antique shops aren't like your mom and dad's antique shops now. They're filled. Antiques are from the 80s. I mean, vintage is from the 80s.
yeah,
Retro's from the 80s. So you go in there and you know what I mean? I know I'm vintage. I'm 53. You
I'm
know what I'm saying? So I just think that and that's why I did a video in there. And I always do videos. I'll do an Instagram live or I'll record and do my shop with me's in her shop. And I mean I'm trying to get her to come onto my channel. She's a little camera shy, but we're working through that. But so and I love it. It's friendly. You go in, I mean there's something for everybody. Something for everybody in an antique. And I don't think people realize it. I think people think, oh, antique shop, oh, you know,
Yeah.
but they get all scared about it, think, oh, it's going to be 300 pounds or whatever. You walk in and you're like, this is some of this, especially furniture. It's so much nicer than modern stuff and so hard wearing.
party.
And it's half the price. Honestly,
Yeah,
it's just amazing the stuff. I mean, if I had a big enough house, I'd have all that crap in here.
yeah. So, Pam, where's your two shops again?
They're in Pontiac. They're 5 minutes
South
from
Carolina,
my
y'all.
house.
South Carolina.
Pontiac, South Carolina. 5 minutes from my home.
What's
Not
their name?
Forgotten is one, and Pontiac Mercantile is the other. And they're in the shops of Pontiac.
So yeah. So if you're watching, go check out Pam.
Check
If you're in the
it
UK, or when I go to the UK, I will check out Dolores's. And then which one is yours in again, Carol?
Mine is in Canton, Ohio. It's the Majestic Turnaround. And I didn't
love
tell
that
you
name.
earlier. Yes, I do too. It's actually in an old bowling alley. And it's so fun. And there's over
Cool.
100 vendors and
How many?
over 100.
Oh, I thought you said 300. I was like, where'd they find that many people?
And I tell people when they come in, they say, oh my gosh, it just goes on. And I said, yes, it's a day trip and you need to bring a lunch.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The best part about Rosenberg, which I saw Helen has already looked it up on Google Earth, is that next door, not only is there a homemade like the Danish style kolache baker upstairs in this antique place that I'm in, Vogelsang Antiques, but next door to it is the Railroad Cafe.
Oh,
So
so
you can
good.
have breakfast, shop along, come back to dump your stuff in your car, have lunch, and keep going. So it's wonderful. Erin, first of all, Angela said, hey, y'all. And how's your booth going? So tell me where the name of your spots.
Okay, so they're both in the antique market called Gore Street Antique Market. And it's in Perth, Ontario, which is about an hour, just under an hour to the nation's capital of Ottawa. So a great day trip from the city. It's a small town, so like 6,000 people are here, but it's only, the booths are only about 3 minutes from my house. And so, and that street that it's on is the main drag, and it's beautiful. Coffee shops and vintage stores. Well, coffee shops and new vintage kind of stores.
Right.
It's really beautiful. Like there's a river that runs through town. It's just a beautiful day trip. So just make your way up to Gore Street Antiques, and that's where we're at. There are over 50 vendors in there, and it's been around for decades. So it's a really beautiful spot, and I've been doing really well in my booth. So it's been I opened my first booth in February, and opened the second booth in May. And I've been able to turn a profit each month. So it's been great.
Yeah, I've only
the summer
been
was a little slow,
yeah,
which
a little.
confused me because it is a like a destination, like a tourist town, I would say. So the summer being slow confused me a bit, but it was also the time where my kids are home, so I couldn't go in to sort of upkeep my booth as often as I was before. So I haven't quite figured out, you know, if it was just slow all around or just because I wasn't able to, you know, keep it fresh over the summer months. So we'll see. We'll see. Every month is a new month because I'm still in my first year. So we'll see next year, I guess.
Now, Carol, Nancy's asking, are the lanes still there for the?
Yes.
Oh,
You can actually tell where the lanes are, and they have the old-fashioned scorekeeper things suspended from the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
You can't actually see where the pins were. They have that all walled off, and like the little alley, not alley, but the place where you would go down to reset the pins, you don't see any of that. But you're actually walking on the lanes, or there's merchandise on the lanes.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, how long have you been in your spots, Carol?
So my dad passed in March of 21, and I had been on the waiting list, so they gave me an extra month or so. So it was probably April of 21. I started out with one shelving unit, and this is a tip I was going to tell to everybody. Not only do you need to find the right place for you to sell, but you need to find the right location in that mall. I've been, let's see, 3 times I moved before I settled in one of the places, and then the other 2 I added on.
You mean that within the store?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
within the store.
You might not have the same clientele in the same area if it's a big store, in other words, or it might just be a very less traveled place. And I think they kind of start you out at the beginner area.
Yes.
Then you work your
Upstairs
way
in
up.
the back corner. That was me. Or that still
was
is
me
me, but that's
too.
where I started. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Erin was talking about, right? You were talking about that's one of the reasons you didn't want to move is because the one downstairs was less visible.
Right.
Yes. So 1 month I think I made, or I lost $1.17 or something like that. So at the beginning, and you told me, Beth, to give it a try for 9 months at least.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you told me that, because now it's starting to become more natural to find the right things for the clientele that we have and stage it, and I have a better location, and I'm starting to learn more of the ropes. I didn't give up.
Right. Yeah, and I say, and that's a tip that I tell everybody is don't go in thinking that first month you're going to blow it out of the water because you're a new vendor. They don't even know you're there.
Right.
And when I kind of break it down, I look at quarters, just like we do selling online. Well, people that sell online look at it for quarter wise, but you know, how long before you know a new little restaurant is in your area or whatever? And then you may get in because somebody's like, hey, I'm not doing well, or I'm moving, and they move in the summer. Well, that's like not a good quarter for selling typically. But come Christmas, if you give it 6 months to Christmas and that fourth quarter kicks around, you may see, and then people are like, oh, I like her vibe or his vibe, and I like their stuff. So I always say 6 to 9 months. Just go in knowing that if you have to pay rent, it's like anything. What do they say? 3 years before you start making a profit on any business.
Right.
Yeah. So, and Pam, how long have you been in yours?
Well, I think they opened up these shops in April, March. So it hasn't been but a few months, but I've had booths in the past. So, yeah.
And then you came back to it, like Beth was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Dolores, you just got this one, a couple of months ago?
Right.
And then
August.
you're already thinking about a second one.
Yeah, I am. I enjoy, in the second, and you also have, I mean, it's only not even 5 minutes from my house. I'm a bit like Carol. It's like, whoop. The other one's about 15 minutes away, which is not that far.
I'm the only one driving.
I know, right? And I'm thinking about another one. I enjoy the it's fine to sell online, but when you stage something, people can really see what it looks like
Yeah.
how it can be used. So I like to stage it. I love doing that. So I want to see how I fare with another one. I mean, if you don't try, you don't know. So yeah, so give it a go. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure, Sunshine, did we answer your question? You had a question about profits. We're making profits, and that means that
yeah,
we're making our rent or our commission or whatever, and we're still able to, when you price your items, the whole goal is buy very, very low. I usually price at the lowest retail that I can find on multiple sites or what I see them going for. And then, that's what you sell it for. That's why people are like, I think your prices are a little too low. One of the booths people told me that. And I was like, but for me, it's turn.
right.
I'd rather price something at $10 and sell 4 of those in 2
Hmm.
weeks than to price something at $40 and it sit for 2 months. Because the more
Exactly.
I turn over, the more I can shop. And let's be honest, that's the whole thrill,
Mm,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I have
Yes, that's
sometimes
the best part.
other vintage dealers in the mall saying, "Oh, I think your prices are a little low," but then I go into their booth and there's been an item that I've done a shop with me video in 2018 and the video is like the thing is still
Still
there.
there.
So, you have
Exactly.
to price
Yeah.
items to move, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, unless you want to keep it,
Right.
it's
Which
to
I
move.
think there are some vintage dealers there who are like, this is my creative space and I just want to put stuff out. And if it doesn't sell, I don't really care because I just love the vintage stuff so much. So, yeah.
And I'm not afraid to mark something down too. If
Right.
I've overshot it, I will
Yeah.
mark something down. And I have what I call this is the next sale area on the back of one of my booths. I'll set something there and I'll think this will sell now because it's kind of highlighted. And sure enough, I go in and it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can always tell when you're out shopping, whether you're sourcing or whether you're just shopping for your own collection or for the fun of it, you can tell people who are very proud of their items because they're way over retail. Even in antique spaces, my recommendation would never price it at retail. It's not eBay. You don't have 3 million people seeing
Right.
your item.
Right.
You
Right.
have maybe 200 or 300 that are going to come through there. So
Mhm.
yes, it's wonderful. And yes, it might sell on WorthPoint or be on WorthPoint or sell on Etsy for $50, but you might
Right.
want to consider pricing it at 25 because you paid 3 and that's a good profit and you can
Yeah.
keep on going.
And you
Exactly.
don't have to ship it. You don't have to stress over it breaking.
Right.
All of
Yeah.
that
Yes.
hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and okay, I'm going to give one of my tips. And if anybody else has a tip afterwards, make sure as we close out that we are sharing all of our tips and trips. Because I saw Kat say, I'm not making rent yet with my new booth, but I'm bringing it through the holiday season. I'm new to this, but not new to retail. So I know to hang in there. So yeah, just keep going. Mine is no things are going to be misplaced because people shop, pick up things, and put them down in other booths. So I always have an inventory. I know what I have placed in my booth, and then as I get my receipts, I fill it out for tax purposes or whatever. But my inventory record, I know what I put in there, so I'm looking to see if it's sold and if it's still in there. But no thing people pick up things like you see at Walmart. You'll see milk in the underwear aisle because people just picked it up, forgot to leave it. But sometimes it's just in the next booth, or the booth managers will come through and they'll see the tags are different. No things are going to be stolen. Just know that. And no things are going to get broken. And it's unfortunate. I had bookends. They were pug bookends. Uh, Now, luckily, the gentleman wanted it, and I had like 3 books on there, and these bookends must have weighed, oh my gosh, they were probably 5 pounds each end. and they were like, yeah, when we moved one, the books fell on. I was just, no way, it was 2 paperback books. But what happened is they just picked it up and it accidentally broke, but he ended up buying them for 50% off. She had him do that. But just know things are going to get broken. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully they aren't your prized family heirlooms, or you probably shouldn't be selling them in your booth. But
Right. Right.
they might be, who knows? So
Yeah.
who else has a tip?
I do. I have a couple tips.
Okay.
One thing would be to go into the store and be a shopper for sure before you commit to anything. You want to see how the customers are treated. You want to see what the merchandise is like, talk to the customers and so forth, because I was a customer before I was a vendor. So I knew it was going to be an excellent fit for me. So that was one thing. And sure enough, I forgot the other one.
It'll come back to you.
Yes, I'm a little bit worried I'm going to lose power, so I'm going to run and get my plug in, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Pam, do you or Dolores or Erin have any tips?
Well, I mentioned earlier about, especially if you have a small booth, getting shelving with glass shelves so the customer can kind of see through, and they can see that you have merchandise all the way down to the bottom. Because sometimes you can't see through. If you can't see through the shelves, they may not want to bend down. And it is important that everyone bends down and looks, just like
now we're all going to have signs. Look
bend down.
Look down.
Look
Thank
down in the
you.
drawer.
Yeah.
And to rearrange often. Rearrange. Like right now, my books are stale because I've had parent conferences in the afternoon, and I have parent conferences all week. I can't do anything in my booths until next week. So it's good to fluff things up often, rearrange. Just if you have to switch stuff in and out, do that. That's it.
Yeah.
Erin, Dolores,
I have a little tip. I don't know. It's not rocket science, but that to have a wide range of prices in your booth, because I love little smalls and that, and they sell well. But if you want to make rent, like if you have, then have a couple of higher priced items that if you just sell, that item, you've made your rent, so definitely have a wide range of items. For me, mirrors sell really well, and I can sell them between, $75 and $100. And so if I sell, a couple mirrors in 1 month, then I've made my rent, and everything else is just,
Crazy.
profit or whatever.
Yeah.
So lamps are another thing as well that sell really well. Because I'm up on the second floor for one booth, I don't really sell furniture up there. But if you are somewhere where furniture can move in easily, then furniture is a good seller for your higher ticket prices. So just have a wide range. You go out thrifting, and more often than not, you'll find the little trinkets and stuff. That's what I like to. But I also make sure to stock the booth. And if your lamps have sold, put a lamp in right away, just so that you
never have lamps.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Oh man, they sell quickly. It's crazy. Lamps and mirrors, both sort of higher ticket non-furniture pieces that sell well for me.
I have 0 lamps and 0 mirrors left in my booth, and I probably had 5 of each.
And can we kind of piggyback on that and say, when you're outsourcing, source things that sell well, but also source things that you may find ugly. I mean, because people like different things, and what is beautiful in my eye may be ugly in someone else's eye, and what's ugly in my eye may be beautiful. So think outside the box also.
Like that glass, y'all. Like the glass.
Yeah, like
I mean, you know
glass.
what I'm saying?
People like it. I don't know.
I mean, get stuff that's, and you know what I mean by, I'm not saying cheap crap, but I'm saying something that I'm like, I don't think I'd have that in my house. Yeah. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Someone else would,
Someone else would. So,
so even if someone's like, oh man, look, this is so horrible, but they have to buy it because it's so unique and it's a conversation piece. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
remembered my other tip.
Yay!
Oh.
So I don't know if you would be allowed to do this at every place, but I asked permission and I was allowed to put signs in each of my areas. And I took a sign about this big. It was from Target. My friend Melody from Melody's Many Miscellaneous got a whole bunch of them and she gave me 3. And I wrote, "Welcome to booth number 91," because you want people to know the number of your booth because they can find you easier. And then I put "My Blessed Nest" with a little YouTube symbol.
Yep.
And then I was allowed to put my YouTube cards there. So that's one of my things that I think makes me kind of stand out a little. It's a little more personal when you know you have that connection, like, oh, that's her name. I like that name, or I'm going to check out her channel, something like that. And then also get creative and use every inch of your space. On the back of my glass cabinet, I guess I have 2 glass cabinets, but it's by a ramp, and I have little suction cup hooks, and I've hung aprons and purses there. So that's a
that's
whole
cool.
space. So look at it creatively and
That's a
try
good
to
idea. Yeah.
how you can, put your merchandise to get it more views.
Suction cups on the back of your glass,
Yeah.
Dolores.
Yep.
Would
I was just thinking that. I was like, I'm going to
jewelry.
this is such a
Because
good stuff.
hers is 4-sided glass. So
Yeah.
if she in the very back had some very light or small clear suction cups and she could hang some jewelry that would bring color and that they could see on the sides too, that would be good.
Yep.
That's
And
a good idea.
use the tops too. I have
I
tops
do.
on
Yeah.
every single one, and I change that out frequently to grab the eye.
What you got, Dylan?
I say so. You promote yourself. You're your own biggest marketing exec. Okay. Do your social media. Do a reel or a pictures or a little video of it. Always do it. As soon as you change it, do it. Put it out there. Because I mean, yes, the lady I have a booth with does do it, but I do my own. I'm not. I can't count on anybody else to do it for me. No one's going to know unless I tell them.
Right.
And also, I put my little. I have these little cards that say, have my logo on it, like little postcards, and on the back it says, "Follow me." I'm on Etsy ad, and she lets me put them in there, and I put them in there. So if you like what's in here and you want to see more, my Etsy shop. Here's my Etsy shop.
Yeah.
Also, if you struggle for lighting, sometimes some places do. She let me put in little fairy lights all down across.
Yeah.
So you turn them on, it's like twinkles. And it just brings the eye to it. Twinkles. Sparkle. So
Let's all do it together.
sparkle. That's it. So that's my advice. Just bring attention to your booth, and I put all these fairy lights, just the little thin ones, the little wire ones. I just blue tack them to the top, and then I could turn them on. And she turns them on for me every day, and she's like, "I don't mind turning them on." And so the whole thing does what, y'all? Twinkles, twinkles. Yeah.
My antique booth my antique mall didn't have an Instagram. So like I said, I have a lot of Instagrams. I also run the Instagram for the antique mall because they didn't have one, and I wanted to be able to sort of tag them, you know what I mean, with the address and the hours and all that sort of stuff. So I asked the owner, I said, "Hey, can I do this?" And he said, "Sure, go ahead." Like, he's kind of a little bit old school, like I said. So I did, and then I make sure to tag them in my posts, as well as tag the location of the town, so that people who are on Instagram can always find me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I think I have a great time with my spaces. It's that you get to not only source the stuff, which and the sourcing is fun, the staging and the selling is fun, but like Carol said, you don't have to package it and invoice for it, and you still have to wash it and comp it, but it is a lot of fun to stage. Now I'm going in and putting what little bit of Halloween didn't sell last night I only had like 4 things or 5 things that didn't sell from my Halloween stuff, because Halloween's hard to find. and then I can put it up there and make like different kinds of aesthetics. So like you can have each shelf that has different stuff on there. So that would be that. It's just a lot of fun. It's just a different way to do things. And if you're not into the live selling, if you're not into the Instagram shops or the eBay or the Etsy, it is a way that you can kind of manage how you to make a profit from what you already like to do. So
Right.
I've had a ball with mine.
Yeah.
Also, let me just say, don't be afraid to have a sale. Don't be afraid. Even if it's just 10% off. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like it attracts people.
Yeah.
And then
And you can price things in the first place to sort of assume
Right.
I'm going to have a sale, right?
Mhm.
So that,
Yeah.
you know.
And so I see J&M, if
Yeah,
you're
think
talking about hockey memorabilia, like the sport of hockey, it just depends, because there's some people that have like all NASCAR, all Coca-Cola, all of like just sports memorabilia. It just depends. It just depends on what
What's
else.
the name of that channel? Asking, I don't have the chat up.
J&M channel.
I'm pretty sure that's my son.
Are you? He says I'm thinking of selling hockey stuff. I think that will sell well.
Oh, good. I think it would.
Everything.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I mean, y'all in Canada, it should do well.
Yeah, it should do well in Canada. But like you say, if there is a Coca-Cola or NASCAR, I see it. Especially in Rosenberg, there's a whole room of Coca-Cola stuff. There's a whole room of NASCAR, or bobbleheads and baseball cards and all that. So it just depends on what sells in those locations. If that's your son, tell him to put a few things and sprinkle it in if it sells.
There you go.
Put in Mama's booth.
Laughing.
I was like, J&M, that sounds very familiar.
Yes, but at least he asked a nice question.
There you
Yes.
go. Yeah.
So yes. So people are asking about our booths. So guys, if you will, the ladies in the chat, either on Instagram or something, spotlight your booth. Either do like an Instagram video or a video on your channel, because I've linked all of your channels below, and I've put them in the chat as well. So y'all go ahead, and I'm at Sweet Treats and Pretties on Instagram, but let's kind of either show pictures or videos of our booths, and then we can insert in the descriptions or whatever this chat, because we've talked about it. And so people are interested in seeing our updated booths, all three of your booths. I think Carol wins with the number 3. Look at Kibi just chilling over there.
Yeah, Carol wins.
Carol wins 3. Erin,
Yeah.
but Erin has 2 booths. I just have a booth and a space, and Pam over there has got 2 full booths. So Dolores, we need to catch up. You only have.
We need to catch up.
She's almost there. She's going for number 2.
Yes. Hashtag having a vintage booth. Yeah. And then we got Lori Blue Flamingo said, can somebody please find her a spot in Florida? And then Martha and Tammy. I think that some places will let you go. I've found a couple of places, but they're really far for Martha and Tammy. But like me, I travel an hour one way. Now, sometimes I'll be honest, I make a day of it. If I'm going to go to the booth, I'm actually going to shop the store. I'm going to shop the one next door. I'm probably going to go to a couple of state sales before the store opens. So, I make a day of it. So I'm gone from like 9-ish or 8-ish to about 5. But at least I did go. And I'll say in my videos, well, I was supposed to be working, and I am officially working, but I went to 14 stops before I got here. Oh no, some antique stores have no public restrooms.
That's ours. Yeah.
Ours doesn't.
Oh, really?
We have a bathroom.
Ours doesn't. No, mine doesn't.
But that's kind of a killjoy, because if you shop long enough in there, you might have to potty.
I think if
right across the street, so people will say, the Tim Hortons, you can use the washroom there, but
yeah,
we say Dollar General in the corner. Come back then.
You can go, but you got to come back.
We'll let you out as long as you come.
Keep your driver's license here. That way you have to come back.
Yeah. We'll hold your credit card. No.
Yeah.
So ladies, thank you so much for giving your time today on Sunday and making the arrangements for everybody's time zone to work. I think it was a very good chat. I'm hoping that we answered all of the questions in the chat, as well as if you had sent me questions via email or Instagram or Facebook Messenger. I do think that it's really cool and people are interested in seeing how we stage. So I think that vintage spaces are becoming a little bit more popular, especially with online things not being as flexible now. I mean, online sales, at least for live sales, are not as profitable as they were and during the lockdown. But people want to get out and shop. And so I think that it was a really good chat. I'd love to come back in a couple of months and see how y'all are doing like after Christmas and see how y'all made it through fourth quarter. And, you know, if you've expanded any and see who's got how many next, right? So if you're watching the replay, thanks so much. This was a really great chat. Thanks for everybody being in the chat today and for all of your questions and your comments and for just hanging out with us. Again, check out Dolores at Miss DAM Jewelry, Pam at Kibi's Collectibles, Carol at My Blessed Nest, and the Collection Vintage Erin. Before we leave, Carol, tell us about your open collab that's coming up on the 7th.
Yes, it is. It's on a Friday.
Speaking of wonderful vintage and thrifting and staging.
Yes, yes. It's actually, the name was thought of by Dot Likes Red. I just adore her, and she's so clever. But she called it a collaboration. So we're just gonna get together, make a video, and show us all of your Halloween. Probably a lot of it will be vintage, but we didn't put that stipulation on. Just show us your vintage or your Halloween, and you can do a shop along if you want, or you can just show us your stuff.
That's cute.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
So it's an open collab. It needs to be recorded and scheduled if you're on YouTube for the 7th of October at, is it 5?
You know what? I should have looked. It's all on my community tab or Dot Likes.
Okay.
So it's on Carol's community tab, but I do know it's the 7th because I looked it up and I have it on my calendar to try to make that happen. I have done several collabs, and she just did a home tour, but where is your, hold on, where's the, you're invited to a Thriftoween collaboration. So it's on her channel under community tab. You're looking for this one. And it's going to be upload and schedule your video for Friday, October the 7th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then there is a little hashtag that you need to use. All of that, all the information is in there. But yes, Mother loves Dot, loves her some Dot. And Dot from Dot Likes Red is the co-host.
Yes.
So basically just show us your thrifted, vintage, Halloween, DIY Halloween, make a little video of it. Follow the little steps. It's not that hard. And Carol is very gracious about adding our stuff to the playlist when we can't get it to be done. So I don't know what that is because I can't ever get anybody to add their stuff to the playlist.
I don't understand. It used to be easier. And
I know.
There's got to be a glitch.
Something's got to be up with that. But I'm hoping to be able to participate. Sold most of the vintage items yesterday on a sale, but I am putting up my finishing up my Halloween decor in the house today. So if I can get my stuff together, then I'll record a video. And if you do your booth, if you update your booth, that would be a really cute one too.
That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah,
that would be super fun. That would be, you know, they'd see your booth, they'd see some Halloween stuff, and that would be great. And it would be part of that. I mean, orange and black, rusty, crusty, black glass, amethyst glass, you know, that glass stuff, Pam.
Yeah.
You know, Pam may do her contract because she now is probably on a living organ donation.
She's joined the cult for the next 5,000 years.
She is now part of some kind of thrifter cult. So yeah. Hey,
Cajun intervention.
Yeah. She has no idea that her child now belongs to some thing. She signed the contract. She didn't read it. Anyway, but yeah, make sure that you're tuning into the channels. We all have videos, usually about once a week, something like that. We've got a video. Dolores and I go live a good bit doing jewelry because good night. I need to have just do jewelry for 15 years and we'll be good. So thanks again, ladies. I really appreciate y'all taking the time to be here today. Check out their channels. This was super fun. And until next time, y'all stay pretty and be sweet. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.